Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSi DFS. I'm McKinley412, looking at the 7-game main early slate. It is a holiday here in the United States, so we get some daytime baseball on a Monday. It's going to be pretty straightforward in my opinion. You can kind of see I already got Kelly and Reagans over here for the two starting pitchers. I think it's going to be an extremely popular combination. And then bats, yeah, kind of similar as well. And I think that there's pretty one clear way that we can go in terms of cash. Obviously, GPP, anything's on the table. So, looking at the top pitchers, like I said, Kelly, he's already going to be number one. He got shelled in his last start out against the Dodgers, but I'm not looking too much into that. He's already faced Colorado twice this season. We know Colorado is just not a great offense. 12 innings pitched, only 3 earned runs, 16 strikeouts, averaging 24 DK points. Yeah. Merrill Kelly, he's going to be just fine as your SP1 and the guy to target in the top tier. Steele, he's fine. Like, he's honestly just like Kelly, in my opinion, if he's like Kelly B. He's going to provide you with a solid floor. You know, he's at home. Things are fine with that. He's just a little bit more expensive and in a little bit of a tougher matchup, which is why I do put Kelly above Steele. Savali, I just never like to play Savali in DFS, especially just with the strikeout rate, especially with the price tag that he is at. Almost 10K for a pitcher who, on average, is going to be getting you like 4 to 5, maybe even 6 strikeouts in a start. Yeah, he's had these higher games of 9 strikeouts, but I don't know. I'm not looking too much into it. It's kind of you're throwing a dart blindfolded if you're going with Savali up here. Webb, big ground ball pitcher. He's got a little bit better strikeout rate than Savali does. But again, not a whole lot of upside to go with Webb here. But I do put Kelly, Steele, Webb, and then Savali, I think, in that order. In the mid-tier, Berrios, I reluctantly put Berrios here up at the top. He's got a great matchup going up against Oakland. He's just always been a big boom-bust pitcher. He just always has been his whole career. He could get you 30 DK points, but then he can also get you minus 2 DK points. He's got a great matchup going up against Oakland. Oakland, we love pitchers playing in that ballpark. You know, really big foul ball territory as well. So maybe he's able to luck into 1 or 2 extra outs that he might not be able to get into or might not be able to get at a different ballpark. So do like Berrios in this mid-tier. If you want to put France above him, I wouldn't, we could have an argument. I would totally listen to it. France has been really solid as of late. He's just got a really tough matchup going up against Texas. Just erase this Boston matchup. Like, he clearly had something going on that day. The only issue with France is that, well, not the only, but like he's facing Texas, brutal matchup, and he just doesn't have a really strong strikeout rate. I tend to lean more towards Berrios than France in that regard. Woo, again, another fine play in this mid-tier. Like, you could really shuffle a lot of these guys around if you want to. They all have very similar strikeout rates. They're all kind of in pretty similar matchups. In terms of, like, France has a really tough matchup against Texas. Woo, he's playing in a really small ballpark in Cincinnati. Bello, he's facing Tampa Bay, who their offense can be very powerful at times. So really, that's kind of why I put Berrios up at the top, just because his matchup really is kind of better. Now going into Cole Reagans, this is the AL Pitcher of the Month for August. He has just been absolutely dominant. He's averaging like 9 strikeouts a start in this past 6 starts in August. And now he's got the White Sox, who should not be scaring anybody. 7.2K, way too cheap for how well this guy has been pitching. Cole Reagans, you can even put him, he should be the first guy in your lineup for pitchers. Schlotten's, Heaney are cheap guys, but honestly don't have too much of an interest there. Everybody else is just kind of, yeah. So Kelly, Reagans, I think it's just going to be a really popular, I don't know why I keep an apostrophe there. It's going to bug me. Is it R-A or R-E? It is RA. Look at that, I got it. Okay, so turn towards the bats. You probably already saw it. It's going to be Toronto and Arizona. Those are really the 2 main ones that I want to be targeting. Seattle's obviously going to be there as well. But you can kind of see quickly here that salary is not going to be an issue. So if we go Kelly Reagans, we'll just throw in like Guerrero, Springer, and Schneider, the 3 top bats for Toronto. You're still looking at close to 4K remaining for the rest of your bats, and that includes the catcher position. So salary is not going to be too much of an issue. Schneider is he got called up from AAA a little while ago, but I mean, he's just been raking. He did really well in the minors. Toronto's AAA team is Buffalo, which is, I mean, you guys probably have figured out by now. I'm in the Buffalo area. So he was doing really well in AAA, got the call up, and he's just continued it on here for Toronto. Arizona, another team that I have a lot of interest in going up against Lambert. Corbin Carroll would be the guy I'd be starting off with. 5.5K for Corbin Carroll is actually pretty cheap. I feel like we were paying over 6K for him for quite a while there. And you can see even jamming him in there, we're still looking at 3.4, 3.5K remaining. We'll throw in like Gurriel. It's entirely possible to have a very loaded lineup, I think, in terms of cash builds. Going into GPP, Texas and Houston. Again, Texas is facing off against France. So there is, like, he's been fine, but he just doesn't have a great strikeout rate. And this Texas lineup's got some powerful bats, especially the lefties. The only issue is that Corey Seager is 6.6K. I mean, that's almost Acuna in Coors Field territory. So it is pretty steep, but definitely you would be off of the chalk if you do go that route, just with how expensive he is. But I do think that France, he allows a lot of hard contact from time to time, doesn't have a super great strikeout rate. I mean, we saw it when he faced off against Boston, and it was a disaster zone. So I do think that Texas could be a top GPP play. On the other side, Houston. I think that they can also be a very intriguing play going up against Andrew Heaney on the other side of that matchup. Heaney, he does have his strikeouts from here and there, but he also gets blown up. He was the fly ball pitcher who allows a lot of home runs, but he also gets some strikeouts as well. Strikeouts haven't been there as of late, so I do think that Houston could be a very intriguing GPP play. Super cheap, Kansas City. I'm blanking. Who's Kansas City facing off against? Oh, here we go. Facing off against Schultens. So I think that, given the price tags, they really open things up. But again, I don't even think you need to go down to this road. Go down this cheap, just because Toronto, Arizona, they're really not that expensive. Even Seattle, if we do turn towards them, in that small ballpark of Cincinnati. Honestly, I might even put Cincinnati over Arizona. Thinking about it, I might put Seattle over Arizona as we move closer to lock here. But this is pretty much where the slate lines up. Kelly Reagan's going to be super popular. If you want to go GPP, just go anybody else. And yeah, so good luck in your contest as always. We'll see you back here tomorrow.